in Joshua 3, 14 through 17. So here the Israelites are. That whole generation has passed away. They're on the banks of the shore. I'm not sure any of them knew how to swim. These were desert people. These were people who did not go to Amarillo Town Club in the summer and swim. They were raised in the desert, okay? So I imagine there was a bit of fear because they were gonna have to cross this river to get to where God had promised. Now, I think because of the devastation that had happened in the generation before, that stories had been told to them. Stories had been told to them to bolster their faith and to cause them to rise up. Because in Joshua 3:14, it says, so when the people broke camp to cross the Jordan, the priest carrying the Ark of the Covenant went ahead of them, which we know the Ark of the Covenant is where God's presence would come and rest among the people. Now the Jordan is at flood stage all during harvest. Yet as soon as the priest who carried the ark reached the Jordan and their feet just touched the water's edge, just the water's edge, like they didn't stick their foot in and submerge it. Their feet touched the water's edge. The water from upstream stopped flowing. It piled up in a heap a great distance away at a town called Adam in the vicinity of Zarethan, while the water flowing down the sea of the Arabah, the salt sea, was completely cut off. So the people crossed over opposite Jericho. The priest who carried the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord stood firm on what? Dry ground. Don't you know that they were like, this is just like what our parents told us. This is just like what our parents said, what our parents gave testimony to, God is doing for us and bringing us into the next thing. That is what I want to be in the heart of my heart for my kids. I don't want them to remember that I have to pay the government. Gosh. I want them to remember that God provided over and over again. I want to remind them that he redeemed me from things that couldn't have been redeemed without him. I want them to know the stories of me, and I want them to know the stories of this book, because these stories right here are my stories. These stories right here are your stories. So in Deuteronomy 6, I told y'all that was it, but I lied. Oh no. So in Deuteronomy 6, we'll end right here, I promise. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Hear, O Bushland, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Don't forget. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be upon your hearts. Don't forget them. Write them on your heart. When you forget them, remind your heart. Go read your Bible. Go put on some worship music. Go look at the ticket of the free bread, of the loaf of bread. Like, go look at all that. Remind yourself. They're to be upon your hearts. Impress them on your children. Not anything else. Don't teach them all the great 80s, 90s music. Impress them with the things that God has done. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your houses. Can we be that generation? Moms and dads, even if you're not a mom and dad in here, to the next generation. I want the words that I speak to be words that when my kids stand on a shore someday of a promised land that God has given them, there is reminders, because they've gone back. They've gone back in their mind and gone, gosh, I know all those things that God did there. I'm going to go back to that spot and I'm going to look forward and I'm going to trust the Lord.